Hey everybody, we're going to start the next idea wall session, so if you're interested, come on over. We've got somebody from MakerBot. We're going to be talking about what the future of building products is going to be like. What will happen as this technology goes live and already is live, and what happens in the future with how products are made. So if you're interested, come on down. We're going to have a whiteboarding session starting in 1 minute. 1 minute.
So stressful. It's stressing me out more.
Bradley, you have 10 seconds.
Next thing you're gonna be like yelling in my ear with the countdown.
Seconds until you have 10 more seconds. Come on in. Alright, you're getting here. Sit down. I know everyone's shy and sci-fi. I've noticed this. Humble, unassuming, shy people. Come on in. Come on in, we're going to start the idea wall session. I think I'm going to start it right now. Hi everybody, my name is Mickey, and I'll be facilitating the session. We've actually got this wonderful guest influencer. We've got Keith from MakerBot. Come on over here, Keith. Hello. So guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to spend maybe the next 45 minutes talking about what if digital technology can really change the way products are made. And so the question is, what MakerBot's doing is kind of amazing. It's already changing the way products are made. But what happens when that kind of really hits the peak of its trend? What happens when it really changes even the way that you make all sorts of different things? Right now, it might be products, it might be other kinds of things. What happens when it's everything? What happens when maybe we can print bottles of Pepsi containers right in a vending machine and then recycle them right there as well, so that we're not spending all the gas and energy to move things around. What's going on with digital and what's happening in sort of the making space? And that's what we'd love to hear about from Keith. Let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to do this session. This is going to be a little bit of a weird session in that I'm going to actually require you to use this really high-tech stuff called a marker and Post-it notes. So I know this isn't going to be easy for some people that are kind of attached to their laptops or their phones. This is going to be exciting. We're going to do something called Rose, Thorn, Bud. So Mark, can you give everyone who's going to participate, we've got Post-it notes that are rose colored, and we've got some that are green that are going to be thorns, and we've got some that are buds that are blue for bud. And I want you to grab a stack of Post-its, grab a marker. You guys grab a few more markers. And this is what we're going to be doing is something called active listening. So when people are talking is when you get ideas. You hear somebody say something. So Keith is going to say something about what he's doing with MakerBot, and you're going to suddenly have an idea. It might be what he said, but it might also be something that relates to what you do. And so I want you to write it down. And each little Post-it note is an idea. So let me wait till everyone gets some Post-its. All right, anybody else need Post-its and marker? Come on in. Okay. So this is how we're going to kind of play this activity. I'm going to ask Keith some questions. We're going to find out what's going on at MakerBot. If he says something that you think is like a really, makes you think of a thorny issue, like a real challenge for what's going to happen in the future, either through how things are produced, or how things are distributed, or how things are used or enjoyed, or even how we do something sustainably. If something pops into your head that's like a thorn, a real challenge, maybe it's what he said, maybe it's something that just is about what your own organization, your own concerns are, things like that. Write it down on a thorn, stick it to the side. If he says something, or you're just thinking about things, and you hear something, you think, man, that's a perfect idea. I could use that for my organization, or I think we could do some new idea with it. Write it down on a rose. It's like a perfectly formed idea. It's all fully bloomed. And if you hear something that you're not sure, maybe you think of something that you're not sure. Maybe it's a cool idea. It's like a nascent, crazy idea that hasn't been worked out yet. Write it down on a bud. A bud is sort of like, I don't know if it'll grow into a rose someday or not, but maybe it will. And while he's talking, I'd like you to at least give me like 2 roses, 2 thorns, and a bud. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. So let me write that down. So try it while you're listening to him to give me 2 of these, and 1 of these. And if you come up with more, that's fine. Just go ahead and keep writing them down. When he finishes talking and we're sort of done with a little bit of the interview stuff, we want everyone to actually participate. So I'm going to ask him to do it as well, so that we've got some post-its from him. And then we're going to actually start putting them up here and do what's called affinity diagramming, where we actually see where someone's challenge, like a thorn, maybe someone else has a bud that will actually fix it. And so we're going to kind of talk about that. So think of these are 4 different areas when you're listening to what he's talking about. Sort of this topic. What happens when digital technology, really manufacturing, and everything changes for how products are made. So that's the idea. So that's all that technical stuff. Post-it notes, draw markers. It sounds like I've got some weird exercise you guys need to do, but it's all going to work out. So, Keith, tell me a little bit about MakerBot first.
Okay, MakerBot Industries is from Brooklyn, New York. It's an idea that started 3 years ago. My bosses, they wanted a 3D printer and they were $100,000. So it was way too expensive. They decided to buy a Ferrari instead. But what they did was they actually had the idea and said, hey, let's see if we can build a 3D printer. They have a hackerspace in New York, a makerspace called NYC Resistor. And they sat in a room with a bunch of caffeine and created a 3D printer with off-the-shelf parts. They were able to make a machine that was under $1,000. And they said, oh wow, this is great. Let's make 20 of them, put them on the line, and see if we can sell them in a couple of months. And the machine sold in 2 weeks, and that was the birth of MakerBot.
And this is kind of what they look like, right?
Yeah, so this is the 3rd generation machine. And just to explain to you what it does, it's a 3D printer. And what it does, it prints in ABS plastic that comes on spools in a kilogram. Comes on a filament, kind of like what your weed whacker looks like, the wire wrapped around there. Also biodegradable material, PLA, which is made of cork. So what it does, it takes this spool and it feeds down, here pulls it down through a nozzle, a really small nozzle, and it draws a picture. So imagine a robotic hot glue gun. That's the easiest way to think of it. So these, this little extruder here will move back and forth on the XY axis, and this Z stage will move down, layer by layer. So what you're doing is you're drawing a picture on top of a picture on top of a picture, and it creates a 3-dimensional object. So how do you make those objects? You design in CAD software or 3D animation software, export to an STL file, and then put it through our software. What our software does is you can set parameters like resolution. You can make things super fine. A lot of people see the things we print out really fast are 0.3 millimeter, but you can get to 50 microns, which is completely smooth. So you get a really nice print. It takes a lot longer, but you can make a really fine object.
So what's happening is sort of, you know, the glue gun is setting down a layer, and then it's setting down another layer, and then it's setting down another layer, and you've got kind of control over the resolution of those layers as it sort of draws the 3D shape.
So in the software you can set the speed. I have an option, I want to scale it up, do some basic editing. I want it to be hollow or solid. So if I'm making a bracket for a robot, I want it to be strong, I can make it 100% infill. If I'm making something that I want to print quickly, I can make it, don't waste too much material, I can make it hollow.
So there's one thing I saw when I was playing around with, I went to Maker Faire and I saw these things. What was really interesting is this notion that someone who wanted to make jewelry could design their jewelry and hit print, and the jewelry would come out. But what I thought was neat was you had a little shovel, so you could like shovel it off and make another one.
Yeah, so our last machine had an automated build platform with basically a conveyor belt. On this new machine, it's different. The old machine used to move on the axis this way, and it's just step up. Now this is a little bit more stable. This machine prints 9 inches, just under 9 inches by 6 by 6, so the size of a loaf of bread. It prints in 2 colors now, which is cool because you can print things in multiple colors, but which is really cool is that you can print with water-soluble support material, so you can make complex objects. So like a gearbox, you can make a solid object that has gears in it and wash away the water-soluble material and have a gear inside of something. So impossible objects to manufacture.
So build impossible things.
So like a ball inside of a ball inside of a ball. These things are in your head. How do you do it? You can do it with a MakerBot. And up until recently, it cost $80,000 to do this kind of thing with water-soluble material, or get 50 microns on a. Yeah. The cheapest was like $80,000.
So, but this is how much? How much is this?
$2,000.
So that's kind of interesting, and I think what we wanted to ask was this notion of when the cost of manufacturing things comes down to the point where anybody can author and build things, like things in the world, it seems like a lot of things are going to change in terms of just the way the world works. So let me ask this question, sort of, you've been there early, right? You're there ahead of schedule a little bit. You've been experimenting with these. What are some of the trends you're starting to notice?
Well first off, I just want to let you know that this machine is open source. Yeah. So that means it's birch plywood and it has screws, not glue. You can actually take it apart. And we encourage our community to take it apart and hack it. Because when you have a machine that can make parts, of course you want to make parts for this machine and make the machine better. So we ship them out, and then people take them apart and recreate this machine into a better